Hi guys, I'm Matt Jones. Today we're going to be going through a tutorial of how to build a very basic kicker ramp for mountain bikes, BMX, scooters. It's a very straightforward thing to build and a great thing to have for riding in your garden, out on the street and just learning basic tricks and basic jump skills on a bike. So in terms of materials, this is what you're going to need. Starting off with plywood, I've pre-cut 2 sheets of 12mm ply. So 12 millimeters is the thickness, and these 2 sheets are for strength. They're going to be the sides of the ramp, and they're 4 foot long and 2 foot wide. So I've got 2 of those. The next thing I'm going to need is a sheet of 9mm ply. This is thinner, and that's because it's going to need to bend. This is the sheet of ply that you're actually going to be riding on. So thinner ply is easier to bend. This is 5 foot long and 2 foot wide. I'll put all of these dimensions in the description below so you can reference that, but these have been pre-cut down to size, which is going to make today's video a lot more straightforward and easy to understand. The final materials required for the ramp are these timbers. So I've gone for 8 foot long lengths of CLS, but you could use 4x2 or just some chunky bits of timber that look like they can support your weight, because that's what they're going to have to do. So that's all the materials. These are going to be cut down to shorter lengths shortly. So we've got the plywood, we've got the timbers to strengthen the ramp. So let's look at how we assemble it. So the first step to building this ramp is drawing and cutting the sides of the ramp. So if you imagine this is going to be the side of the ramp you're riding up, we're going to draw a line from the bottom all the way up to the top where you actually take off on that angle of trajectory. So that's the bottom of the ramp, the base that sits on the floor. This is going to be the top corner. So we need to draw a curved line from where you enter the ramp all the way up to where you leave it. So I've got a pen. We're just going to draw the line freehand because it's quite a small ramp and I want this to be simple for you guys. So I'm just going to draw it freehand with a pen. Now remember, this is only small, so you don't want it to be too steep. So when you get to that top corner, I'd say don't go anywhere steeper than 45 degrees. So we're going to enter the ramp at a very gentle angle. But like I say, when that's cut and you've built this ramp, any small bumps, you'll lose them and it'll actually be surprisingly smooth. So that is now my transition, we call that. So that's actually what the side of the ramp's going to look like with all the angles. You ride on there and you leave the ramp there. So the next step is going to be cutting out that part of the ramp, and for that we're going to use a jigsaw. Now if you're not comfortable using power tools or you're under the age of 18, please ask an adult for some advice and some help to do it for you. And of course, using power tools, it's very important to wear eye protection. So we're going to cut out this ramp, and it's important to remember you only have to draw this line once, because once we've done it, we can reflect it onto the other sheet of ply and just mirror it over and trace it. So this is only a one-time job drawing that line. So now we've done that, we're halfway there. So that is the side of the ramp. Hopefully now it's super obvious what component of the ramp this is. Obviously that's one side. Now to get the other side, it's so simple. We just lay the other sheet of ply that's been pre-cut onto flat ground, place the cut side on top, line up the sides, and then we've got a perfect trace to draw it onto the other one, which I'll do now. Done. So there's the line for my second side. We're going to do exactly the same, clamp it to the table and get that cut with the jigsaw. So these are the 2 matching sides of the ramp. And we're going to make this 2 foot wide, which I think is a perfect width for a bike, a BMX, a skateboard, and also it should fit in the back of the car. So we're 2 foot tall, 2 foot wide, and about 4 foot long, which hopefully goes in the boot. So to turn that into a usable kicker, we need to brace it with batons, which we're going to use those timbers for that I showed you earlier. So these timbers act as reinforcement to bind the 2 curved sides, and I'm going to have to cut these down to 2 foot lengths, because for a 2 foot wide ramp, these need to be 2 foot long. So I'm going to get 4 usable batons out of each length of this, so we'll see how many we need. But the more you use, the stronger it is, but let's talk about that later. So I'm going to mark these up at 2 foot lengths and then cut them down with a handsaw, which shouldn't take long at all. So 2 foot, 4 foot, 6 foot, Quick maths. And then obviously 8 foot at the end. Cool. So I've cut 8 of those 2 foot long battens down, and the first ones we're going to use are for the base of the ramp. So you can imagine the ramp's going to sit on flat ground, and these ones along the bottom need securing to the ply. So using an impact driver and some screws, I've gone for 50mm screws. I'm going to put 2 in each end through the ply and into the battens, and that will tie everything together, and it'll be really strong when it's built. But it's important you use 2 screws at each end rather than 1, because it prevents everything from twisting. So let's do that now. You can use a normal drill, but these impact drivers are so much better at driving screws really far into the battens, and a bit quicker too. So I'm going to do the same with this one. Then we're going to put the other side of the ramp on the other side and join the whole thing together. Quick update. So we've put 3 battens in along the base of the ramp, which has tied the whole thing together. You can see now exactly how it's going to look. It's going to be really cool. The final step before putting the upper sheet of ply on is to use the rest of your battens. I've got 5 more for this to go along the top. Now, same again, I'm going to put these on this way up rather than that way. Because they're a lot thicker in that direction, it's quite important to have the weight bearing through that direction rather than that direction. It's a lot stronger when you ride it. The last thing you want is your front wheel to go smashing through this ramp when you hit it for the first time. So we're going to try and get these evenly spaced, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 to the bottom, and that's what the 9mm sheet of ply that's 5 foot long is going to screw down into. So we're almost there. It's all going to plan. So that's the framework complete, and the final step to get this thing riding is to add the riding surface, which is the 9mm sheet of ply we talked about earlier. That's going to sit on top like that, and the way to attach this is work from the top down. So if we get the top aligned up here, put some screws into the batten below, and then you can let the drill do the work, because that's going to pull the ply into position, bend it into the perfect curve, then we've got a finished ramp. So we're a few screws away from riding this thing. I'm going to start with 3 screws along the top row, then working our way down. I think 2 is going to be plenty to help pull everything together. So just looking for where your battens are from the screw lines on the sides, line everything up, and you'll watch the screw just pull the ply down. I'm happy with that. That is a fully portable, homemade mini kicker ramp. So you can take that anywhere, jump off of it. It's good to go. I'm really excited about it. So let's go and test it out. I've got my bike, we've got a kicker. Let's do some jumps. Perfect. So that's the mini kicker, built, ridden, tested. It survived, I survived. If you want to watch more videos, make sure you subscribe to the Silverline Tools YouTube channel. Thank you for watching. I'm Matt Jones.